Tonight on NewsWatch, terror attack in Britain. What led to the brutal killing of a British soldier?
Plus, CBN News is on the ground. We have the latest from the tornado-devastated town of Moore, Oklahoma.
And the story of two women who spent 7 months inside one of the world's most notorious prisons, all because of their faith. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Authorities in London want to know if the suspects in a brutal midday attack were part of a wider terror plot. One attended meetings of a now-banned Islamist group and may have been radicalized there.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister David Cameron is hailing a hero in the attack and vowing the country will not cower under the violence. Heather Sells has tonight's top story.
The suspects used knives and a meat cleaver to hack to death an off-duty British soldier. It happened mid-afternoon near his barracks. Witnesses say the attackers yelled Allahu Akbar.
Total chaos, total. I don't believe someone has been targeted this way in an area that I live in.
After the killing, the suspects approached bystanders with bloody hands and a chilling message about how British soldiers must suffer for killing Muslims. Authorities now say one suspect, Michael Adebolajo, was born in Britain and raised Christian, but converted to Islam in 2003. He changed his name to Mujahid, which means one who wages jihad. The London Evening Standard says detectives are investigating whether he was radicalized after attending meetings of this group, Al-Muhajirun. It's known for praising the 9/11 hijackers and encouraging young men to follow their example. The British Prime Minister has called the attack an act of terrorism, and police are now searching several locations, trying to determine if the suspects were part of a wider plot.
The people who did this were trying to divide us. They should know something like this will only bring us together and make us stronger.
Cameron also hailed this woman, Ingrid Leo Kennett, who confronted the suspect and may have saved lives.
Were you not scared for yourself in that situation?
No.
Why not?
Better me than a child, because unfortunately there were more and more mothers with children stopping around by, so it was even more and more important that I talked to him and then I asked him what he wanted.
When told by the attacker he wanted to start a war in London, she replied, "You're going to lose. It is only you versus many." She spoke for us all.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Authorities have now released the identity of the British soldier killed in the attack. 25-year-old Lee Rigby was a member of the Queen's Guard. He joined the Army in 2006 and served in Cyprus and Afghanistan. He leaves behind a 2-year-old son.
For more on this, we turn now to our terrorism analyst, Eric Stackelbeck. Eric, do you think this was an isolated incident, or do you think this attack was part of something wider?
You know, Mark, I think it's part of a wider ideological struggle. Now, we don't know if the two terrorists behind this heinous attack were linked to any larger movement. We don't know if it was part of al-Qaeda, if they had direct links with anyone from a larger organization. But what we do know is this attack in South London was part and parcel of a larger global jihad.
We'll talk about the radicalization in Europe. How big of a problem is it?
Mark, I've talked about this on CBN News. Look, I've spent a lot of time on the ground in Europe. I've interviewed Islamic radicals there. As a matter of fact, a guy named Anjem Chowdhury, who's probably the most notorious Islamic radical in Great Britain, he apparently knew some of these machete-wielding attackers. No coincidence there, I'm sure. So what we're seeing in Europe is large Muslim populations, large Muslim immigrant populations settling throughout the continent, Mark, and they are not assimilating. Here in America, we have immigrants come. They generally assimilate into American society. In Europe, with the Muslim immigrants, it's a much different story. They are coming to Europe in droves, particularly Great Britain. I've been in the neighborhood where this machete attack took place. There are large, restless Muslim populations there that are very aggressive, you would say, Mark, who openly talk about overthrowing British society, overthrowing British common law and replacing it with Islamic Sharia law. This is a trend throughout Europe with these large, restless young Muslim populations, and I fear this is all leading to a big culture clash, which will be nasty.
Well, Eric, people often are concerned about big attacks like 9/11, but what about these kind of smaller attacks? Quickly.
Yeah, Mark, this is the new blueprint for terror. Anyone can take part in this global jihad. All you need is a meat cleaver and a knife, and you can make headlines. You can be part of this Islamic terrorist movement. You can carry out your own personal jihad. It's what we saw in Britain, and it's what Al-Qaeda is encouraging more and more. Saw it at Fort Hood, saw it in Boston as well. Low tech, inexpensive, small scale. This is the new blueprint.
All right, Eric, thanks for staying on top of it. A lot to cover these days, and you're right on it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
And in the wake of that London terror attack, President Obama outlined today a comprehensive counterterrorism strategy. The president insists America is not at war with Islam, but with al-Qaeda. The president says the organization would kill as many Americans as possible if we did not defend ourselves. He made a strong case for using drones. Those are the unmanned spy planes that are able to hit specific targets in places like Pakistan and Yemen, where terrorists hide out.
To do nothing in the face of terrorist networks would invite far more civilian casualties. Remember that the terrorists we are after target civilians, and the death toll from their acts of terrorism against Muslims dwarfs any estimate of civilian casualties from drone strikes.
The president says even after the Boston bombing, America must keep a balance between protecting Americans and also protecting law-abiding Muslims. He says we will not deport someone or throw someone in prison in the absence of evidence.
Many people in Moore, Oklahoma are amazed they survived the massive tornado. They're slowly beginning to recover. And Operation Blessing is on the scene to help those in need. John Jessup is there.
It's now day 3 as the cleanup continues, and utility crews are hard at work trying to make headway to help people here in Moore return to some semblance of normalcy.
For many in the tight-knit community of Moore,
I've only seen one thing, or know of one thing that's 100%, and that was Jesus Christ.
Telling where they were when the tornado hit is like therapy. Lester Staley shows us the storm shelter behind his house of more than 20 years. He called his wife from work and told her to take cover.
10 or 15 seconds later, I heard the train coming in, and then I heard kaboom!
Lester knew exactly what happened. The old elm tree in his backyard crushed the shelter's concrete top. What he didn't know was whether his wife was dead or alive.
What was going through your mind when you heard that kaboom?
Am I going to be able to talk to my wife of 39 years?
Wanda, his wife, says the fact that she's alive is nothing short of a miracle.
A lot of people don't believe in miracles, but I do, and I always have.
Standing on a street like this, you begin to see just how indiscriminate the tornado was. This house is completely leveled, but if you look right across the street, the structure is still standing. But the one thing these scenes have in common is that they're bringing people together.
David Molyneux lives a few blocks away.
Less than 500 feet, and we could have had nothing.
He's never met the Staleys, but since his home and family are okay, he felt the need to help in spite of his own personal hardship.
I have no work right now. I was laid off from my job Friday, so I've got nothing but time on my hands.
David is just one of the many volunteers with Operation Blessing, which is on the ground offering disaster relief in the form of food, labor, and prayer. Operation Blessing has teamed up with Highland Baptist Church. Its pastor watched as the tornado spiraled toward the church and turned at the last minute. He believes it was spared for a reason.
It's just a God thing. Part of the reason for that is so that we might be here and be a hub and just be able to love on people.
And for those receiving their help, it means the world.
And really, just being here, you begin to see that it really takes a team of volunteers, those from the community and those who aren't, to really make the recovery possible. John Jessup, CBN News, reporting in Moore, Oklahoma.
Thank you, John. Lawmakers in Washington are trying to take steps to cut the number of sexual assaults in the military. Members of a House panel have passed legislation that would remove from commanding officers their power to change or dismiss court-martial convictions in rape and assault cases. They say they're hoping to shift military culture to one that encourages victims to step forward. This comes on the heels of yet another harassment scandal for the military, this time from West Point. A sergeant first class is accused of spying on female cadets in the bathroom.
They're serious charges, but I mean, they really scratch the surface of what's happening at West Point, what's happening at all the other academies.
A Pentagon report says as many as 26,000 service members were sexually assaulted or harassed last year.
Well, coming up, how some college students are getting their degree debt-free.
Why are so many individuals and groups across the country choosing the Avia Dental Plan?
Individual plans start as little as $8 per month.
Members save 20 to 80% off high-quality dental care.
Everyone qualifies, and there's no waiting or limits on visits to the dentist.
Call now and save $20, plus get 3 months free.
Call now and you may be able to save $20 and get 3 months free. 1-888-431-CARE or visit aviadental.com.
Remember the happy days when he said everyone gets health insurance. But now, Congress says 7 million Americans will lose their health insurance, and your insurance rates could increase by 200%. Some health plans even get hit with a 40% tax and over $700 billion in Medicare cuts. So now we're really sad. But you can be happy again by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller, and over 500,000 Americans have gotten a copy. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. You can get your copy at Obamacare911.com. It gives you the tips, strategies, and loopholes you need to know. Get your copy of the Obamacare Survival Guide at stores everywhere for $19.95, or get the internet-only offer of just $4.95 and save $15. Go to Obamacare911.com to claim your copy now.
You have a son that you do not know. He's reaching for you.
I want my family back.
Go make some good memories together.
Crash landed. Son, if we are going to survive this, you must realize that fear is not real. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. Together, we will survive.
After Earth, rated PG-13, May 31st.
Hobby Lobby is back in court. The Oklahoma City-based arts and crafts chain is asking a federal appeals court today for an exemption from part of Obamacare. Hobby Lobby leaders believe they should not be required to offer employees health insurance that covers abortion-inducing drugs. The company argues that businesses, not religious groups, should be allowed to be exempt from that part of the healthcare law if it violates their religious beliefs.
House lawmakers are set to pass a bill connecting student loan rates to the financial markets. That's in spite of President Obama threatening to veto. Interest rates on new subsidized Stafford loans are scheduled to double July 1st. This new Republican-supported bill would avoid that. It provides some students a deal in the first years of the new system before increasing interest rates later. Many Democrats oppose the plan, including the president. He says the bill would eventually impose big interest rate hikes on low and middle-class students. Meanwhile, tuition prices at some schools have gone up as much as 40% in recent years.
Yeah, but as Ephraim Graham reports, some students are working hard to avoid going into debt.
It was very stressful to start.
Christopher Wells is a man on a mission. Earn a degree debt-free.
My first year, my mother had to take money out of the 401k plan. We had a deal, and she said that she would pay the first year at school. But every year after that, I would have to pay for it myself or figure out a way to pay it.
How does he do it? The 20-year-old works summers instead of chilling out. Wells spends 40 hours a week as an intern and waits tables on the weekends. He also lives at home and commutes to class.
I had the opportunity to live on campus, but I could have taken out a loan, but I just chose not to. And that was one of the biggest decisions for me.
And while it hasn't been easy, this honors student is on track to graduate with no student loan debt. Many of his classmates won't be able to enjoy the same freedom.
Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. They're just, they're on campus, their parents pay for their tuition, and they're kind of just going with the motion. And that's just not me.
Figures show student debt in America has climbed to $1 trillion. The average balance, about $23,000. However, some college graduates are looking at more than $100,000 in the red. That debt is even tougher to pay back in today's economy, where most college graduates can't find a job.
So many times I meet people who've got $100,000 spent to get a PhD in, German polka history or something. Oh my gosh, where are they going to get this money back?
Financial expert Dave Ramsey says students must change their thinking when it comes to college.
We've got to break the mindset that in order to be a student, you have to have a student loan. Instead, let's go back to the old-fashioned way of paying for it. And you actually can do that. It's difficult, but you can do it. It's called work.
That work actually begins years before even applying for college. Step 1, choose a school you can actually afford, perhaps a community college to get started. Then, look for free money in the form of grants and scholarships.
You've got to apply for scholarships. There's lots of them out there. You've got to take classes on how to take your SAT and ACT so that your scores come up, which qualifies you for more scholarships. And then you get grants. I grant you the right to work while you're in school. WORK has not killed anybody.
And when they make it to campus, watch out for those lifestyle extras like pizzas and parties.
An interesting thing I was reading in state schools the other day is the average college student graduating this last year had $27,900 in student loan debt. And the interesting thing is that's about what they spent over 4 years to live off campus in an apartment, to eat out, to attend social functions associated with college. And so really those dollars that drove them into debt were not education dollars, they were lifestyle dollars.
A lesson Christopher Wells has already mastered.
My mother always said to me, if you ain't got it, don't get it. So if I don't have it, I'm not going to get it. If I don't have the cash for it, then I'm not going to buy it.
Wells doesn't carry a credit card or even a car loan. He still drives his 2001 Chevy his parents gave him back in high school.
Life is not all about partying or going out with your friends and stuff. Like, if you want to be successful in life, you have to work, you got to save your money, you have to budget. It's very essential.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Up next, praying in prison, how 2 Christian women made it through their imprisonment in Iran.
Why are so many individuals and groups across the country choosing the Avia dental plan?
Individual plans start as little as $8 per month.
Members save 20 to 80% off high-quality dental care.
Everyone qualifies, and there's no waiting or limits on visits to the dentist.
Call now and save $20. Plus, get 3 months free.
Call now and you may be able to save $20 and get 3 months free. 1-888-431-CARE or visit aviadental.com.
Remember the happy days when he said everyone gets health insurance. But now, Congress says 7 million Americans will lose their health insurance, and your insurance rates could increase by 200%. Some health plans even get hit with a 40% tax and over $700 billion in Medicare cuts. So now we're really sad. But you can be happy again by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller, and over 500,000 Americans have gotten a copy. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. You can get your copy at Obamacare911.com. It gives you the tips, strategies, and loopholes you need to know. Get your copy of the Obamacare Survival Guide at stores everywhere for $19.95, or get the internet-only offer of just $4.95 and save $15. Go to Obamacare911.com to claim your copy now.
From the beginning, they battled, they believed, they beat the odds. Now, an epic journey reaches its final showdown.
I love this.
It's the star-studded finale with Jeff Foxworthy.
Check it out.
Kirk Franklin and special guest Mary Mary for the ultimate prize to change lives.
You just won $100,000.
The American Bible Challenge season finale. All new tonight at 9/8 Central. Only on GSN.
CBN News has been following the story of Saeed Abedini, the Iranian-American pastor currently serving an 8-year sentence in Iran for his Christian work. His family has been allowed to visit recently, but he's still being held in the notorious Evin prison where he suffers physical beatings and he's denied medical care.
Yes, Miriam Rostampour and her roommate Marzieh spent 7 months inside that very jail for their work spreading the gospel. Recently, they shared their experience and rare inside look at what it's like to be in that notorious prison. Their story began with a knock on the door. Take us back to March 2009 when your doorbell rang. What happened?
I looked through the people and I saw Marzieh with 3 guards. My mind was in shock. I just opened the door and they entered our apartment. They ransacked everywhere and they took both of us with all our belongings like Bibles, books, Jesus movies, and everything that they had discovered in our apartment. And they transferred us to the security police.
For first day and especially the first week was so difficult for both of us because we were so scared, and they threatened us to physical torture. They told us that we will beat you until you vomit blood.
They sent both of us to a very small and dark and dirty cell in the basement, and every minute we were waiting for them to come and to take us for the physical torture. At that day, we just hugged each other. We said goodbye. We were thinking that it was our last day on earth.
You both could have been released at any time if you denied your faith. Why didn't you?
We are in love with Jesus, and we couldn't deny our faith. And also, because Jesus in Bible says that if you wish to follow me, you must pick up your own cross and follow me. And so as a follower of Jesus, it was very important for us to pass through this test with victory. And also, it was an honor for both of us to suffer for our faith.
For 2 weeks, you were in detention, both of you, and then you were moved to the notorious Evin prison. What were the conditions like?
It's awful in Evin prison. For the first 14 days, we didn't have anything to eat, and even in public prison, we could eat just the bread and cheese that they gave to prisoners for breakfast, and that was all we could eat. And I was poisoned once because of the food. And, you know, the medical situation was even worse. There was just a small and dirty clinic, and we couldn't visit the doctor. For 9 months, we were both sick.
How did your faith help you keep your sanity while you were in prison?
Sometimes we couldn't pray in Farsi, our language. We couldn't find words because, you know, that situation is really scary, and our mind was in shock. And in those moments, we were just praying in tongues for each other. For example, when they took Marzieh for interrogations, I was praying for her, and she did the same thing for me. And the Holy Spirit really led us in our prayers when we were praying in tongues.
We have many experience with Jesus. We had met him, touched his love, and had seen many miracles. And our personal relationship was very important.
You know, we both believe that Evin is really the hard and brute manifestation of the power of the Ayatollahs, and is really the symbol of their dominance and strength over Iran. This prison is notorious for arresting, torturing, raping, and executing of many innocents.
Some of my friends, before I got arrested, they told me, Marzieh, you know about Iranian prison and Iranian government. If they rape you in prison, if they torture you, what you will do? And I always, you know, I trust God, and I always told them that I'm sure that God will protect us, but if it happened, I'm sure that God has a reason for this.
At first, you all prayed to be released, but then your prayer changed. What happened?
We had many great opportunity to talk with many prisoners, and there were many prostitutes, addicted people, and most of them, they were so hopeless, sad, and disappointed. We had to pray and ask God to show us right person to talk to them. But in that prison, we had more opportunity to talk about Jesus with many women, and also about prostitutes. It was very difficult difficult to find prostitutes in Iran because they are not in a specific place. But when we were in a prison, we find out that there are many prostitutes here, even madams. And we had a great opportunity to talk to them and pray with them. And some of them, they cry and they confess their sins. And it was really like a church for us. And every day we gather and pray. And it was wonderful.
Wow. No wonder they released you.
Yeah.
We got to get these girls out of here, right?
We were more free in prison to talk about Jesus.
Oh, Mark, such courageous women. I think what I'm going to really remember about that interview is when I asked him, you could have been set free. All you had to do is deny your faith. And they said, how could we do that? We're in love with Jesus.
Right. I'm telling you what, that's amazing.
I loved it.
Amazing faith, yes.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
Listen closely. I have important news that may be of great benefit to you.
If you or anyone you love needs health insurance right now, with or without a pre-existing medical condition, call the Health Insurance Helpline for immediate assistance and get the relief you deserve. The Health Insurance Helpline has been established to provide affordable health insurance for all uninsured Americans with or without pre-existing conditions. We're not talking about a discount card. We're talking about insurance programs that provide access to doctors, hospitals, and emergency services. Call the number on your screen now, and in minutes you can have a choice of affordable health plans. And as a special bonus for calling today, we'll send you a no-obligation, no-cost prescription savings card which can save you up to 50% off your prescriptions. Call the Health Insurance Helpline now.
Call now to receive your prescription savings card. Call 800-664-8849. That's 800-664-8849.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
And finally, a fourth grade fashionista left the classroom to learn an important lesson about bullying.
Yeah, listen up. The education came courtesy of a thrift store. 10-year-old Kaylee Lindstrom was teasing a fellow student about her old clothes. When her parents heard about it, they took action by taking her on a different kind of shopping spree.
She needed to know how inappropriate she was behaving. We really think if you felt how this little girl feels, you might have a little empathy for her.
For 2 days, Kaylee had to wear thrift store clothes. She said she was teased but learned a valuable lesson. It's not what's on the outside that matters. I don't know what that shimmy's all about, but I guess maybe one of them were...
I guess she's happy she's back in her regular clothes.
No, one of them,
but she didn't look very happy when she was standing there in the thrift store dress. But, that's a great lesson.
Yeah, it is. Hats off to those parents.
Yeah, good for them. Good for them.
Life change move there.
That's going to do it for all of us here at Newswatch.
Thanks for watching. Have a good night.